In three, two, one, record.
Okay, I see volume.
Alrighty, I've got you as well. My levels are good, so we've already got one person watching. We are doing another live recording. This time it's for our news segment. Last time we tried this, I had some issues on my end. That was for episode 53. And it had been quite a while since we'd done news live before that. We'd done it a few times, gone back and forth on it. We both like the idea, and then at the same time don't like the idea. There's pros and cons each way, but one of the things I really like about it is the opportunity for our listeners to, when they can, get in and watch live, get the behind the scenes look at it, and to be able to provide live feedback and participate in the show. So feel free to comment on YouTube. Will be the best way to comment. And Rocco's ready to get in my lap, which is good because he was just chewing on on an antler before. So yeah. Anyway, this is the live recording, so there is no editing yet. If you want to find the edited version of this with the interview of Evan Bernstein, watch for that on Thursday the 26th. It will at that time be at atheistnomads.com/54, or you could just go to atheistnomads.com.
I'm
And
glad that you
so
that you switched it to the numbers on the for the link.
yeah, I'd been meaning to do that for quite some time. I just hadn't gotten around to it. And but yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go into the show. So I'm going to go ahead and start the intros with a screen share too. You get my soundboard up, and Atheist Nomads is proudly brought to you by Archway Hosting. Check out their low-price, full-featured hosting solutions at archwayhosting.com. That's ARCHWAY hosting.com. We are the Atheist Nomads, bringing you history, science, politics, religion, and interviews with leaders in the atheist community. Not all those who wander are lost. Welcome to another episode of Atheist Nomads. This is episode number 54. Later in the show, we will be joined by Evan Bernstein from The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, and you won't want to miss that interview. I am Dustin, and joining me as always is Wesley.
How's it going, man?
It's going pretty good. How about you?
I had a nice weekend. Just hung out with me and my girl and met a new friend. So had some movies on Friday, and then Saturday, me and Meredith just went around Seattle. We hit the worst traffic I've ever seen, but past that, you know, it was just a great time. We walked around Pike's Place, did a little taste testing, just had a nice time bumming around.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I've had a pretty fun weekend too. Yesterday was Boise Pride Fest, I think 24th annual,
Ooh.
and there'd been some issues with the organization of this event for the last couple of years. Last year, the president of the Boise Pride Foundation was forced out like 2 weeks before Pride was going to start, and then they had to get somebody new to take over and organize it. And this year, the Boise Pride Foundation dissolved about 2 months before Pride was scheduled for. So somebody else, might have been the same person, stepped up and got it going. It was a little bit too late to get the parks, which they'd used last year was Anna Morrison Park in Boise, which was a nice big venue for it. This time they did it right in downtown
Mm.
and actually got businesses to sign on for it.
Oh, awesome.
The businesses got to put official Pride food signs in their windows. Yeah, that drove a lot of business into these restaurants, in particular, most of his restaurants. And there was only one in the Bodo district that said no. If it hadn't been for that one, they would have had the entire. It's like a 4-block area. Now, looking at the booths that were there weren't really enough to pull off that much area, but again, it was a short window to get in on it, and so we had the rally parade and then Pride Fest. It was a good time. A couple of our local atheist comedians have been hitting all the venues for the comedy shows and other entertainment they put together. We
Excellent.
had the Treasure Valley Coalition of Reason booth and entry in the parade, and there was a surprisingly large number of churches involved and present as well.
Hmm,
So it's definitely nice to see the religious in a conservative area like this becoming open and accepting.
definitely. Do you remember the names of any of the comics that came around?
Mikey Pullman and Dylan Cole.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mikey is he's gonna be moving to Portland here in a couple months,
Hmm.
and so you'll probably see him in some Seattle shows here pretty soon.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
The Boise circuit tends to be more Salt Lake, Montana, Nevada,
Hmm.
not I-5.
All right. Well, our Pride Parade is next Sunday, so I can't wait for that. Uh, usually, from what I understand, we'll keep an open tab running at a bar that we're close to, and run in there for shots or drinks, and then run back out, and just pretty much stay fuckered the entire day.
Nice. Uh, oh, we just got a live comment from
What?
Meredith. It's just me.
Hey, baby.
Oh, that's awesome. Uh, all right, so for a little bit more introductory material, shit, that was stupid. Anyway, so some additional changes have happened recently that I'm not sure if I've mentioned. We are on Tumblr now. So if
Yeah.
you are a Tumblr user, you can go to atheistnomads.tumblr.com. There is also a link to that on the website.
Okay.
And every episode we post is automatically posted directly to Tumblr.
Oh God.
So check it out if you're a Tumblr user. Um, if you're not, well, I don't really know what to say there anyway,
Do people use
because I'm
Tumblr
not.
for anything other than porn?
I, I I don't. I understand people do.
I mean, that's like the Twitter of blogs. You can post porn on it.
Yeah, you can even do really creepy stuff like kitties and titties.
What? What?
Yeah, pictures of cats and naked women.
Yeah. In the
In
same
some
picture?
cases, sometimes.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, moving on from there, another change I made. I
Titties and
changed up the
kitties.
permalink structure on the website. If you don't know what that means, it's the link structure for the post. And fortunately, the one I had stupidly set up initially is one that easily translates into, well, anything else you want to do later. And that's all been working just fine. And so now the post title in the link structure actually makes sense. And I also set it up so that there is a short link for every episode. It's just the episode number. So for this episode, episode 54, you'll just be able to go to atheistnomads.com/54. If you
Sweet.
wanted to find episode 13, which is our most terrible episode we ever did, damn you, Wesley and Sam, you could just go to atheistnomads.com/13.
Ha.
So easier way to pull up show if you know the number, or if you are listening to it, especially helpful if you're listening through the back catalog and you want to look up a specific show's show notes. You just type in atheistnomads.com slash and the show number, and it will pull that right on up.
So
So,
I have to mention that Meredith just said that she uses Tumblr, but not for porn.
mm,
So there you go. One person.
okay.
One person.
uh, oh, that's funny.
All
And
right.
oh man, there's an epiphany I had yesterday. I'm not sure if I want to talk about it on the show.
Oh, sure. You can cut it out later. It's just Meredith.
Okay. Um, so the label feminist is one that I have resisted for years. By definition, a feminist is anybody who supports equality, gender equality. I have supported that for a very long time.
Yeah.
Uh, I just didn't like the term feminist on two fronts. One was a lot of the loudest voices of feminism that at least that I've read, ones that I made an intentional effort to read, uh, had a tendency to write stuff periodically that made me feel like there was no way to be a decent human being and a man, or at least in their eyes that there was no way to be a decent human being and a man. And yeah, I get that if you're trying to preach the same message over and over and over and people just don't get it, it's easy to get frustrated. And if you're just casually sharing something and you want to add in some kind of a moralizing lesson, it is very easy to do that very poorly. Unfortunately, when you do that, those who are on the fence, the people who are really your target audience, it's very easy to alienate them. And so there was that problem. And just the term feminist, I support equality. It seemed like equalist would be a better term than feminist. And then it hit me yesterday. My issue with the term feminist was really no different than Sam Mulvey's issue with the word vaping to describe what I do with this. He thinks the word is stupid. He thinks it doesn't describe anything effectively, thinks it sounds bad, and doesn't like it and wants to change it, and yet he's way too late. I've told him this myself. He's too late into the discussion that's been going on for 7 years now to try to change the lingo used by people who vape. It's already established terminology. Well, I'm way too late to the feminist discussion to be able to bitch about the nomenclature used. So I guess now I'm finally cool with that label.
All right.
Yeah, and so yeah, there's that. Let's move on to feedback.
Oh
We
yeah.
got an email from Sophie.
Down under in New Zealand.
Yeah, hello, atheist nomads, lovelies. Just listened to your episode 53 where you mentioned you were surprised to have NZ listeners. Well, I am one of them. And thought, as per your request, I would send some pretty pictures of my country of residence. These are from the South Island of New Zealand, where I was on holiday over the summer. I live in the North Island. The last five are from the Tongariro crossing, which you guys may know as Mount Doom. Love the podcast. I hope you keep up the good work. Listening to you guys makes my working day tolerable. I work mainly by myself with human and animal remains studying for my master's degree. I particularly enjoy the really varied and awesome range of people you guys interview. Cheers, Sophie.
She's just awesome. I've been having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sent she sent amazing pictures of New Zealand. It's like, holy shit, it's kind of dreamy and amazing looking.
Yeah, and I've been chatting archaeology with her.
I've just been chatting, but yeah, like she wasn't really raised religious. It's kind of just not even a thing down there. So it's sounds quite like the nice little bastion of non-belief. I'd really love to check it out.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I shit, that was a completely failed start there. No, I wasn't surprised that we have listeners in New Zealand. I was just surprised that it is the country we are the most popular in per capita.
Hmm.
You would think in a largely secular country that people wouldn't care to listen to atheist podcasts. What's the point?
Yeah.
In your life in a place like New Zealand, religion isn't much of a thing. And it's a lot harder to feel the need to reach out in that type of a scenario. One of the main reasons we do this, other than to point out some of the stupidities of religion and talk about stuff we find interesting, is to provide those who live in deeply religious areas an opportunity to know that they aren't alone. And it's interesting to see that we're surprisingly popular in countries where our target audience doesn't exist.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You know, Sweden, Norway, or Sweden, Norway, New Zealand. You know, those largely secular heathen lands like that. And we also got a comment from Matthew on Facebook asking if we have an RSS feed. And yes, we do. If you are an iTunes user, you can just go onto iTunes and subscribe right in there. Just look for Atheist Nomads. We are also in the Zune and uh, BlackBerry directories.
Mm.
We are in most podcasting apps directories. So if you use any kind of a podcatcher, you can find us in most of them. If that doesn't cut it, you can just go to our website, and in the upper left hand corner there is an RSS link, so you can get the address for the feed right there.
You know, personally, I'm on an Android phone and I use Dogcatcher as my podcasting, vlogcasting, every casting kind of app. And yeah, when I search for RSS, search for feeds, ours comes right up. Just Atheist Nomads. Don't need anything else. We're right in the top there,
Hmm.
along
And
with.
moving on to supporters.
Hmm?
Last time I was getting a little bit nervous about how many supporters we had lost. One had explained to me that it was just a temporary loss, and one of the other ones came back.
Oh,
Robert Ray switched from PayPal to Patreon.
hey, awesome.
Yeah, and if any of our supporters want to do that, it's just a way to make sure that you're not giving us money if we're not putting out shows.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You know, we're not just sitting on our asses and not doing anything. You know what? Hey, Patreon makes a lot of sense. Hook us up with
Yeah.
a little bit of cash, and whenever we actually make a show, which we're actually keeping a great schedule now. We'll just take a couple bucks from you, or whatever you want to help us out with. Because you know, if anybody wanted to give us $100 a show, I wouldn't stop them. Hello, Dustin. Hello. Scheiße. Hello. Hmm. Oh boy. All right. So, Dustin may or may not be here, and I may or may not be live because it still says I'm live. Uh, all right. So, yeah, that was a thing Friday. That was fun. Okay. But all right. So, stay in history. Hmm. All right. Well, this is gonna suck. All right. Oh yeah. I'm not doing this. Not doing this. I might still be doing this. Okay. I'm totally doing this. Oh boy. Oh well. Dust. All right. I'm canceling the call. All right, guys. It's been fun. I'm guessing it's just you, my sweet. So I will talk with you in a bit, or listen to me in a bit, and all that happy stuff. Boy, boy, boy.
Now I need to add Wesley back. Sorry about that. Waiting for Wesley to rejoin. We should be back momentarily once Wesley gets back on. And he's rejoined.
Hey,
Hey, Wesley.
what's up?
Sorry about that. My internet connection died.
All right. It's all
Yeah, I
good.
had to restart my cable modem.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Mm.
When that's happened before, and this made me really nervous, it's ended up being like an hour or two outage.
What?
Mm-hmm.
You're not on Comcast either, are you?
Comcast doesn't exist here.
Yeah. Was it Cablevision? Or
Cable
Wave?
One.
Cable One. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
They're kind of an Intermountain West small IS. Well, they have a couple million subscribers, but they're like Phoenix area, places in Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, and the like.
Well, they're not a top level, are they? So who are they getting their internet from?
That I'm not sure.
You ever pinged it and trace route
Actually,
it?
I think they're going through level one or level three,
Hmm.
which is a major West Coast backbone provider.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and you've been kind of quiet.
My volume?
Yeah,
How's this?
that's
Is
a
that
little
better?
better.
All right. Well,
Or it could actually just be I had you turned down too much.
I think so. My
Yeah.
gain's at little just barely +9 out of
Okay. That should be fine. Alrighty. So where were we at?
10. Just talking
Oh,
shit
we
still.
were talking about supporters. So yeah, if you
Oh
want to
yeah.
support us, please do. I also had asked you why you held up a gun right then.
Did I? What? No, I didn't. I was just emptying my travel bag for Seattle,
Mm.
which has a camera in it also. That, yeah. I was unloading.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get over to history.
Uh, other browser. Okay. So, yeah. This day in history, June 26th, 1807. Lightning strikes in Luxembourg. Yeah, here's an odd one. Uh, Lightning struck a freaking gunpowder factory in the small European country of Luxembourg, killing more than 300 people.
Damn.
Right? You know, sure, lightning kills approximately like 70, 75 people every year in the States, but every year, 75 people-ish. But holy shit, that's a lot. But yeah, it's usually almost always one person at a time. So this Luxembourg disaster might have actually been the most deadly lightning strike ever. Yeah. This is something that Napoleon was actually a big part of. The dictator liked to keep a lot of his stockpile of weapons and ammo in underground bunkers that were built exactly for the purpose in, that little tiny area. But yeah, lightning struck that big old fortress that was, just a big old stockpile of ammo and gunpowder and all that. It blew and it took out basically like a couple entire blocks and just razed the entire area. So, man, holy shit.
Damn.
Big old fires and all that. But yeah, holy shit. Kind of crazy. One strike, 300 people.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, that's that is wild. But
man,
a country as small as Luxembourg, it wouldn't take much to level the entire country.
this is, yeah, it's pretty much like the second or third smallest country. I mean, the
Yeah.
Vatican's a country. Then you got, isn't there like a French one also that's just a city?
There's a number of them that are these little duchies in like on the French, mostly the French and Italian border, or just elsewhere in the French border or the French Spanish border. Seem to all be bordering France.
Man, they didn't like France so much they just fucking left. Can't blame them. Fucking
It is
French.
the only remaining Grand Duchy.
Grand Duchy.
Yeah, it's ruled by a Grand Duke.
Oh boy.
It has the second highest GDP per capita
Mm,
after Qatar.
fuck. Pass the duchy from the left. Okay. Anyways, uh, so
And
moving
it's
on
ranked 179th in size out of 194.
along.
Yeah.
Crazy. Oh goodness. So this day in history, 1911, Babe Diedrichson is born. Mildred Babe Diedrichson was born in Port Arthur, Texas. A child of Mildred, she earned the nickname Babe after Babe Ruth because she could frickin' whack a baseball further than anyone else in her town. That's including the guys. Man, in 1930, after excelling in basketball and track at Beaumont High School, she was hired by the Employers Casualty Company of Dallas to play for its amateur athletic union, the AAU basketball team. Uh, they had to keep her as an amateur status, otherwise, when she was hired, otherwise she couldn't actually get in the Olympics. So yeah, the company hired her as a secretary, then just basically put a basketball in her hand and just let her fucking play all the time. Uh, Basketball and track and field, really. But yeah, 1932 AAU championships, which was really the only qualifier for the Olympics. Diedrichson won 5 out of 8 events that she entered. She set world records in the javelin throw and the 80-meter hurdles, high jump, and the basketball throw, which sounds odd. Basketball throw. Yeah, shit. At the 1932 Olympics in uh, Los Angeles, California, Diedrichson won 2 gold medals. She had qualified to compete in 5 events, but women were some reason restricted to 3 events because I'm guessing they were somehow just not able to keep up with their male counterparts somehow. But yeah, uh, A day after setting the world record in the javelin, she also set a world record in the 80-meter hurdle, beating Evelyn Hull of Chicago by a few milliseconds. Uh, she held on to a silver finish for the high jump, in spite of uh, tying with the declared winner because the judges did not approve of her head first style. Man, ain't that some shit? Post Olympics, Dietrichson took advantage of her new celebrity status, touring the country for baseball, basketball teams, and playing the harmonica on the vaudeville circuit, oddly enough. But yeah, she got the AP Female Athlete of the Year uh, for the first time that they put it out. Let's see. Also, interesting, in 1933, she took up golfing, which she had never played before. Throughout her golfing career, she was, unwilling to pretty up for the cameras, even though the press was always bugging her about it. And here's some crazy shit. Dietrichson won 80 tournaments as a golfer, winning 21 straight in 47 and 1948, and 19 in a row in 1949. She helped found the LPGA, the Ladies Professional Golf Association, and even though it's not specifically not allowed, um, the male counterpart, the of the golf association, would not let her join or play in any tournaments. So yeah, they actually wrote in laws to keep women out after that. So kind of shitty, but even so, she was named the Associated Press's Athlete of the Half Century in 1950. She actually died of cancer in 1956, but man, one hell of a sports career for this lady, for anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry about having to get up. The dogs were being a bit too noisy, chewing on an antler.
Okay, that's good. And all right, this day in history, June 26, 1948, the U.S. begins the Berlin Airlift. So, yeah, you might have heard of this thing called World War II. Uh, when that ended, you know, city of Berlin was kind of split down the middle-ish, east and west, and as it turns out, uh, all of the electrical, the plumbing, the water supply, all that isn't just divided through that city, east and west. And all the roads got kind of closed off, because there's a wall that went through there pretty soon afterwards also. uh yeah, the Soviets just kind of blocked off the east from the west, and that basically starved out the west side of the city. So man, the US just started doing massive airdrops. uh Today, today the 26th is the first time that started happening. But all the way started in was it July? We were already dropping off. July 15th, we were dropping off an average of 2,500 tons of supplies into the city every day. This lasted for a few years actually, but man, crazy, crazy, just crazy amounts of supplies being put over there. Just trying to help our guys out.
Yeah, there's no other way to do it. You can't get through on roads, then yeah, that's all you got left.
Yeah. With planes were landing at Tempelhof Airport every 4 minutes, round the clock. Pilots were being asked to fly, two or more round trip flights every day in World War II planes that generally needed quite a bit of repair still. Fuck, good on them for doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, yeah, that continued until September 1949 for a total delivery of 1.5 million tons of supplies, food, clothes, medicine, fuel, all that stuff. And in way back dollars, it only cost 224 million. Pretty damn cheap. That would be billions upon billions if done now, and
Oh
done by a
yeah.
fucking contractor.
Yeah.
Hmm. And this day in history, 1975. They don't got each other anymore, babe. Sonny and Cher's divorce becomes final. And that's all I'm gonna say about
Okay.
that. And yeah, yeah. Boy. This day in history, June 26th, night. God damn it. All right, 2000, 2000, 2000. Okay. This day in history, 2003. Former U.S. Senator Strom Thurmond dies. Holy shit. That old fucker finally died. Yeah. Yeah, so he served in the Senate for a record 46 years. And yeah, long, controversial political career. He only retired 1 year before he died. But born on December 5th, 1902 in Edgefield, South Carolina, where he also died. Man, he didn't get that far. Uh, Graduated from what is now Clemson University, so he went to school there so long ago they actually had a different fucking name. uh, Degree in horticulture, became a teacher and a coach, and later superintendent of the schools. While working in education, he studied law at night, passed the bar in 1930, and he worked as an attorney and eventually a judge before serving in World War II, where he participated in the D-Day beach storming at Normandy with the Army's 82nd Airborne. Wow. Yeah. Thurman's political career began in 46 when he became a governor of South Carolina. Uh, he only held that for one term, but yeah, he was also famously pro-segregation, saying even in a 1948 speech, "I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that there's not enough troops in the Army to force the Southern people to break down segregation and admit the Negro race into our theaters, into our swimming pools, into our homes, and into our churches." Yeah. Um, Luckily, that this gent did finally uh, stop being so much of a unabashed racist, but it took a pretty fucking long time. um, Interesting side note: Thurman was married twice. The second time when he was 66 years old to a 22-year-old former Miss South Carolina. Yeah. Yeah. His fans just were amused by his reputation as a, oh, he's just a rascal. Yeah, okay. Man, oh man. So, yeah, I really don't have much good stuff to say about him. But at least he kept his really bad political beliefs to himself most of the time he was in the Senate.
Yeah.
Mm. But yeah.
Yeah, he was one of those Southern Democrats that switched over to the Republican Party with the religious right and the rest of the racists in the 70s or 80s, and yeah.
Um, I don't know if you saw it yet, but Jonathan Tyndall just I don't know if you saw it yet, but Jonathan just said that we just got a shout out from Evan on the latest SGU.
Oh, nice.
Sweet. So, hmm,
All right. That is it for history.
yep.
Time for science and technology.
Okie dokie.
First off, the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute is working on a project for the U.S. Navy to create moral robots. Specifically, they are trying to create, program into their artificial intelligence uh, basic principles that can allow them to have some empathy. Well, not necessarily empathy, but uh, have a way of considering what their actions would actually do, and preferably, and hopefully in this, cut down on the likelihood or even make them incapable of being ruthless and immoral in warfare,
Mm,
such as killing the innocent.
mm.
Because one of the potential issues with having autonomous drones and other fighting robots is they get a mission to kill somebody and they may not really care how many people they have to kill to do that. So they might not be too concerned about blowing up a school if that's where the bad guy is. And
Clever
so
knows
the
what
hope
signs your
is,
face.
yeah, so the hope is with some programming they can figure out a way to make sure that they will consider and be able to calculate whether or not it's worth it in that situation, and ideally make it so that if there are children there, it will automatically decide it's not worth it.
I have a couple quick things to say about that. Anybody that's seen Paul Verhoeven's RoboCop will remember the ED-209, the big bastard with the big old machine guns for arms. Um, it's not going to be pretty. Yeah. I don't think we should have robot drones that are out there doing stuff like this for another 50, 60 years, at least.
If even then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Bad idea.
Oh, we just got a comment on the
Oh,
website from Joe. You forgot to mention that Strom Thurmond had a daughter with a black woman who was employed by his parents.
hmm.
I do seem to remember that. Yeah.
Saying that his daughter was lesbian?
No,
Or
he had
just
a
had a
daughter with
that
a
had a
black woman. So he was fucking his parents'
oh,
servant,
oh,
black
that's right.
servant.
I did hear about that. Yeah. Good call. Good call.
Yeah. Alrighty. Moving on. Uh, a recent study into the evolution of the herpes virus in humans has had some interesting results. Herpes has been around in vertebrates for millions of years, hundreds of millions of years, and yet humans are the only known species to have two completely distinct herpes simplex viruses. We have HSV1 and HSV2. And between these, they infect over two-thirds of the human population. And so they've been looking into where did this come from? In particular, why did we get two? Because one would have just come along with our ancestors as they've evolved over hundreds of millions of years. But the other one came from some other branch of the virus's own evolution. And comparing it to other primate uh, forms of herpes, they found that it came from the ancestors of modern chimpanzees and was transmitted to the ancestors of modern humans about 1.6 million years ago.
Bestiality.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. The best speculation I've heard on HIV Granted, there's the religious right claiming that, or at least at times claiming, oh, it came from fucking monkeys. It would have crossed over from the slaughter of monkeys to eat. You injure yourself in the process, and the infected blood gets into your bloodstream, and you get the virus. And similar type of thing could have been causing this change or any kind of other contact, because all it takes is skin to skin contact with herpes. So don't know exactly how it came across yet, but do know when.
So all those monkey ball testicle necklaces, bad idea.
Yes, yes. Next we have the UK doing something, well, a bit overdue. They have just ruled that any school receiving public funding cannot teach creationism in any kind, including intelligent design.
The idea.
Yeah. These rules are saying that any doctrine or theory which holds that natural biological processes cannot account for the history, diversity, and complexity of life on Earth, and therefore rejects the scientific theory of evolution, is not permitted. Schools that violate that will risk losing their federal, or not federal, their government funding. This rule has already been in place for quite some time with actual state-owned schools, but they have these semi-private free schools there, basically church-run or independently run schools that have been getting away with quite a bit. Well, they can no longer get away with creationism.
And that's great for, biology. But what I'm wondering about is like all these ACE curriculums, the advanced Christian education stuff, that put religion into freaking math problems even.
Yeah, but you
What
have to
I'm
keep in mind, ACE is a very minor, very small homeschool program.
that's actually being taught in schools in England, in some of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, Dawkins, even there's a video not too long ago. Dawkins is interviewing a headmaster of one of those schools. Yeah. I'm just wondering if those public funds would be taken away from these schools also, or if it's just like they have to just not teach creationism as part of biology, and then they just keep all the math problems, the history, all that with the ACE curriculum.
This particular school ruling is just about biology classes.
Well, I'm kind of doubting some of those schools are. I don't know if they're getting public funding or not. I won't talk
Yeah.
anything else on that.
Yeah.
But hey, that's awesome to hear.
Hmm. Next, we have some genetically modified mosquitoes that actually have the potential of eliminating malaria.
Hmm.
The work that's been done, they use an amino acid to strip off the X chromosome during the production of sperm, making it so that when the modified males reproduce, uh, they can't have any viable daughters.
Sweet.
And it's actually resulted in uh, the modified mosquitoes producing 95% male offspring.
And it's the females that actually bite you, isn't it?
Yes, it is required for producing eggs. And but the way this would eliminate malaria is within 6 generations in their controlled wild populations in their lab, it spread throughout the entire population and killed them all. And by killed them all, I mean just made it so they could no longer reproduce.
Wow.
And one pretty cool thing with this, it could be restricted to a single species, And in a place like sub-Saharan Africa, with 95% of the malaria deaths, uh, responsible for approximately $12 billion in economic productivity loss
Fuck.
in some of the poorest countries in the world, this could free up doctors and hospitals to take care of other health issues and just cut down on the number of people that are struggling to survive. And the even cooler thing is, this could be done with just the specific species or species that are spreading malaria, and it wouldn't require wiping out all mosquitoes. Because typical malaria elimination programs end up basically trying to kill widespread all mosquitoes, and in some cases, well, any other insects that require uh, water to for breeding. The programs they did in in the Panama Canal area to prevent American workers on building the canal to die, and the programs are used to wipe out malaria in the U.S. It was spraying DDT over everything. And so here's a way that we could do this without wiping out, well, way too much of the ecosystem, just a species or two. And yet at the same time, I do have to ask, is it worth it to wipe out an entire species just to get rid of malaria when the mosquitoes aren't the cause of malaria? They are just the carrier of the parasite. And the real species we're trying to eliminate is the malaria causing protozoa. So kill two species to get rid of one species.
Well, I mean, we have vaccines that are quite effective, don't we?
More inoculations, or not even that. It's a there are treatments to cut down on your susceptibility to it.
Yeah.
Not really vaccines. If the treatments stop, you're at risk again.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, I don't like the thought of eradicating any species, but if there was one to get rid of, yeah, the protozoa would be nice, but mosquitoes, yeah, I could do without them. I'm trying to think of something productive that they do in the world.
Mosquitoes,
Yeah.
they do a little bit of pollinating.
Yeah.
They're food for some birds, but realistically, other bugs would fill their niche in the ecosystem very quickly if we were to wipe out literally all mosquitoes.
Yeah.
There's a study talking about that, or at least a article in Nature. It's linked to in this article on I fucking love science
Hmm.
about these mosquitoes. So it is a little bit of a conundrum, uh, and of course, once those modified males make it into the ecosystem, they will spread throughout the entire population. And if it was in a place like sub-Saharan Africa, it would spread across the entire continent. And so that's kind of one of those things that once you start it, there's no stopping it. And yeah, it might be worth it. It might not. So yeah, that'll require some definite judgment calls. And so moving on to a leukemia treatment. This is a drug that produces the P110 inhibitor, or it's a drug with P110 inhibitors that cuts down on the body's ability to produce certain lymphocytes, in particular, some of the regulatory lymphocytes. And this has been very effective in treating leukemia, effective enough that they had to take the placebo patients off the placebo and start giving them the drug because it was that effective. Uh, well, what they ended up finding was they gave it to some mice and then gave them tumors. And they were expecting, like, actually implanted tumors into the mice, and they expected the tumors to just grow uncontrollably without a fully functional immune system there to keep them in check. And what they actually found was the tumors shrank,
Hmm.
and the mice lived twice as long as they would have without those inhibitors. And looking at what would be causing that, what they found is it inhibits the regulatory lymphocytes, not all lymphocytes. And by taking the regulatory lymphocytes out of the picture, the tumors can't use those to keep the rest of the lymphocytes from attacking the tumor. And that just frees up the rest of the immune system to go hog wild, killing off the tumor.
Oh, but yeah.
So this actually has an amazing potential to be highly effective in potentially any kind of cancer. Which would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's never been any way to say that there's going to be a cure for cancer, but if you're attacking something that works with the cancer, then yeah, I could kind of see that happening.
Yeah, the best treatments they're finding so far are ones that just help train the immune system to fight the cancer,
Hmm.
such as the modified B cells and T cells that just target the cancer, and various other ways of helping the immune system work against the cancer. And this is one that just stops the immune system from ignoring the cancer, which is awesome. And finally, for science, we've got a very controversial study. Some researchers who have just published their results have been playing around with H1N1 to try to recreate the 1918 Spanish flu.
That
The
was
one that killed 50 million people.
yeah, the crazy pandemic.
Yeah, one of the worst influenza pandemic in human history, and quite possibly one of the worst pandemics period in human history. And what they've been the reason they've been working with this is they're trying to find out what the likelihood of H1N1 getting proteins needed to cause something as bad as the Spanish flu in wild avian populations. And well, unfortunately, they have been playing around with this, and they still have no idea what the likelihood is. They just know it's possible. No shit is possible. It's happened before. Ah, this just seems like a case of needlessly playing with
Fire,
disaster.
disease.
Yeah. Ah, damn.
Yeah, this is all sorts of dangerous, but I'm sure that it's also something that ours and a few other governments do around the world anyways, in little underground bunkers somewhere.
Oh yeah. Trying to find out what can happen with viruses, trying to keep one step ahead of their evolution is a
Yeah.
very important thing to do. There's just a certain point where do you draw the line between doing valuable research and needlessly creating a doomsday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, in half the zombie movies out there, this is kind of the how the shit starts.
Mm-hmm. Jonathan Tyndale just asked if we covered the anthrax exposure to the employees of the CDC.
Hmm.
We did not. I did read that article, just didn't think it was necessarily worth talking about. The anthrax was, to summarize it quickly, they had killed the anthrax on several colonies, and then moved them from level 3 containment to level 2 containment for testing anthrax detection devices.
Hmm.
And then when they were going to throw away the petri dishes, they noticed anthrax growing on one of them.
Ha.
This resulted in 80 CDC employees potentially being exposed. However, they destroyed it before they were able to find out if it was just in its growth phase or if it was in its spore phase. It's the spore phase that is dangerous.
Hmm.
And they have also been working to treat all of these people that were exposed. They've been giving them antibiotics that are known to kill anthrax and also immunizing them against anthrax to, well, just cut out that risk there. And if any of them were to actually come down with it, I do know the government has a rather large stockpile of anthrax immunoglobulins,
Oh
which
yeah.
in my last job I actually helped produce that.
Yeah, the military is big on giving those anthrax shots to all
Hmm.
or most of the troops. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's giant supplies of that.
And we were using those soldiers' plasma for a program to produce anthrax immunoglobulins for uh, IMIG injections. So if you got exposed and you weren't vaccinated, you could get the antibodies just straight up. Uh, but what this does show, though, the issue that happened with the CDC is that playing with viruses like this, there is the potential of a failure in your protocols. Um, However, in this case, it only made it to level 2. There was still no risk of it actually making it out of the lab. So I kind of think it's being blown out of proportion a little bit.
Hmm.
All right, and before we move to politics and religion, got a couple of promotions to talk about.
Cool.
Um, Wesley, do you use Amazon Prime?
Uh, I do not, but I've been considering it.
Yeah, I do. I've had Amazon Prime for about 2 years now. Any Prime eligible, that's the pretty much everything actually sold directly by Amazon, and a lot of items that aren't as well. You get free 2-day shipping.
Hmm.
There is the Amazon Prime Video service where you can get free or lower priced streaming movies.
That's actually kind of cool. That'd be
And
a fun one.
they've just also added Prime Music where you can stream music for free.
Yeah, I
And
think
I've
the
got a,
Prime movie service would be actually pretty decent. I've heard that competing with Netflix quite well.
mhm. Yeah, so it's well worth it. And we've actually got two separate free trials available for you.
Oh,
All you have to do is go to atheistnomads.com. On the sidebar on the right, there are links to these. And let me go ahead and pull these up um, so you can actually see them if you're watching on YouTube.
I know that personally, I buy all of my sex toys from Amazon, and I use our Amazon click-through on the website so that, we get a cut of every purchase made, and it helps bolster the show a little bit, give us a little bit of scratch, and you'll never see you'll never have to actually donate to the show, but you're helping us a bunch.
Yeah. And so right here on, nope, mouse over the wrong spot. On the website, if you scroll down the sidebar a little bit, we've got two links here for Amazon. The first one is for everybody. You get a free trial for the regular Amazon Prime at $99 a year. And then the next one down below is a free trial for the student Amazon Prime, which is at $49 a year. So students get half price on 2-day shipping. Whether you're buying sex toys or
Or
textbooks
TVs.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, check it out.
Ooh. There's actually been a TV show that I just started watching at a friend's house, and I've really been considering getting Amazon Prime just for this fucking TV show, Orphan Black. Amazing show over in, I think it's filmed in Canada, but yeah, it's a BBC show about a bunch of really kind of sexy clones, and so you should check it out.
Wesley, did you turn off your camera?
No,
Are you seeing your video?
I'm not in that browser.
Ah,
Chrome. Hmm. Can't, oh, fuck. Okay.
there
So,
we go.
hey,
We've got Wesley's
I had a
video
weird
back.
pop up on my.
Yeah, I accidentally clicked the wrong button.
Oh, okay.
I opened up capture instead of
Yeah, it was asking me about if I wanted to capture. I was
yeah.
yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, now you've got
Yeah.
screen capture on.
Yeah.
That's fine. Anyway, let's move on to politics and religion. First off, we have a Texas judge who has just rejected a petition from two gay fathers. They are legally married in Washington, D.C., so they do have full federal recognition of their marriage. Texas does not recognize it. And they worked with a surrogate mother, got egg donations, and each of them fathered one of the two eggs. So their twins do actually share the same mother and are half brothers. And well, then the birth certificate was put together, and neither of them were listed.
Wow.
And they can't even get access to the birth certificate. And so they petitioned the judge to, first off, be listed on their own biological child's certificate, and then to cross adopt each other's biological child. Would have seemed pretty reasonable right there.
Yeah.
And the judge ruled against it.
What the fuck? Fucking
Yeah.
Texas.
So not only do they get to have both have parental rights for both children, they don't even necessarily have parental rights on the one that shares half of their DNA. Which what that really makes me wonder is who's listed as parents on the birth certificate, because the surrogate shouldn't, the egg donor shouldn't.
I'm gonna. It's Texas. I'm gonna bet it's a surrogate mother only.
Which, unless they wanted to have her on there, which I don't know. Well, if they wanted to, that would have been fine, but uh, she shouldn't be on there. She, yeah, carried the boys to term, but that's not any of her genetics there.
Yeah, but they came out of her vajayjay. You know,
Yeah,
this isn't a very science literal state.
yeah.
Or at least that's what it seems like.
Uh,
So, like, hey, baby came out of her vajayjay. It must be her baby.
yeah. All right, moving to
Oh,
the next
dads
one.
are gay? Oh, they can't have kids. They're gay.
Yeah. So moving along, the
Hmm.
largest Presbyterian denomination in the U.S., the Presbyterian Church (parentheses USA) in parentheses,
Mm.
has had two votes at a recent denominational convention on same-sex marriage. The first one was a what's known as an authoritative interpretation and passed with a 61% vote, allowing Presbyterian pastors to officiate same-sex marriages in places it's legal.
Mm.
So they get to decide on their own. It's not forced on them by the church, and that has immediate effect. And the second one, which passed with 71%, was a starts the process to change their official language on marriage from defining it as a civil contract between a man and a woman to marriage involves a unique commitment between two people, traditionally a man and a woman, to love and support each other for the rest of their lives. And again, that passed with a 71% vote, but it now has to go through all 173 presbyteries or regional groupings and be approved by them before it actually comes into effect.
Hmm.
But yeah, definitely a nice move.
I got
In
nothing.
Evie, Arkansas, high priest Bertram Dahl was trying to create a seeker's temple, a pagan temple, and a spiritual goods shop in his garage and shop behind his home. And when he'd first talked to the mayor, he had told him that he was opening up a church. And the mayor said no problem, and that he was going to help get the conditional use permit approved for this and just help move it all along through the process. And once they found out that they weren't Christian, but pagan, as he says, officials began persecuting him. And quoting from this article, he said, we were basically given a cease and desist, shut down. We hadn't even unpacked. We aren't even open. How are we getting this? And that was issued the same day as the city's code officer got a letter from the mayor expressing his opinion that no conditional use or special use permit should be given to him. He hadn't even applied yet. The city attorney, Barrett Rogers, said it's zoned as residential. It's not zoned commercial, which is what's required for a place of worship or a retail business. Well, except for the insanely high amount of churches in residential neighborhoods who build them there on special or conditional use permits.
Yeah, I mean, this place is coded as a R2 property, which really doesn't matter for our purposes, but just know that with the special permits and you can actually have a church or place of worship, private nonprofits in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all that shit got yanked pretty quick, didn't it? Hey.
Yeah, the the attorney said that they would have given them the permit if they'd asked for it, but
Uh,
Dahl says that they refused to even give him the permit application.
yeah, this is probably a city that there's no internet presence.
And even though the mayor referred to have a camera interview when he was questioned about it, he said there was no permit he could apply for.
Nice.
Yeah, and then Dahl even reached out to one of the city's aldermen, who only made one comment for the record on it. That man's God isn't my God.
Oh boy.
Who fucking cares? if somebody wants to start up a religious group, if they want to put it on property, as long as they aren't causing serious problems for the neighborhood, such as a whole bunch of traffic on a street that can't handle it, it shouldn't be a problem. Whether they are Christian or not.
Yeah, I
So I
even me, I don't really have a problem with people going to church of whatever kind, as long as it doesn't adversely affect, people or me or
mhm.
policy, public
Yeah,
policy.
this is definitely one of those that if they don't get the permit, they will very quickly be getting letters from just about every church state separation body out there telling them they must or they will get sued. So I have a feeling this will be resolved quickly.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is just a dumb stopgap thing. It'll be over pretty quick.
Yeah.
Just a blip, but still chuckle worthy.
Yeah. Next, we have a report out of the Global Post on Saudi Arabia
Mm,
about a growing number of atheists there. Several people in the media, Fahad Al Fahad, a marketing consultant and human rights activist, they all know numerous people who have admitted to them they are atheists.
I'm sure off camera.
When yes, all off camera. When just 6 or 7 years ago, nobody would have said that. Not even a best friend. And
Yeah.
but heck, in 2012, when Gallup International did a poll of 500 Saudis and found that 5% of them described themselves as convinced atheists.
Wow.
So this is, there definitely seems to be a growing amount of Saudis that are willing to admit their atheism, at least privately. It's still very, very dangerous for them to publicly. Uh, and yeah, as a result of that, the government is cracking down with their recent ruling that even talking about atheism is terrorism.
Obviously.
Yeah. So now moving to Spain. Uh,
Well, just to be sure, I mean, fundamentalist Muslims are anti-alcohol, aren't they?
yes.
And that's pretty much what atheists talk about is alcohol and beer, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay, I could understand that on two fronts then.
And sex
Yeah.
and equal rights
Mm,
and technology and lots of other geeky stuff and
I know. And Google Gear, the Moto 360 watch should be hopefully like out-ished next week. Can't wait.
all
But
right, let's go
they
ahead and
have
move on over to Spain.
but they have the Google I/O 2014 next week. I'm gonna be watching that close. Okay. Anyways.
All right, the should have been 3 days ago now. Felipe the 16th was crowned as King of Spain in a secular coronation.
Hi.
When asked about this, the Secretary General of the Spanish Bishops' Conference, Father Jose Maria Gil Tomeo, told Spanish television that Felipe will be continuing in the Spanish tradition, uh, and there will be a religious crowning just on a different day.
Hmm.
He'll be one of his first destinations as the monarch will be the Vatican, but because the basis of his well, hell, quoting from Pepe Epizarena, an expert on Spanish monarchy, uh, the absence of religious symbols coincides with the concept of the king being contained in the Spanish constitution. The monarch is king of all Spaniards, and therefore in public he should not lean in any specific direction, but in private it is different. That is why we have seen the prince attend religious ceremonies. And yeah, this is definitely a nice thing to see. He's definitely a Catholic. He will be attending Catholic ceremonies and blessings for his coronation, but the official coronation will be, or by now was, completely secular. The whole reason behind a religious coronation was the concept of the divine right of the king. That God chose who was king, and the king's power was held in God, and so the church had to confer that power on the new king. Well, in the case of Felipe, his power is coming from the Constitution.
Good on him for that.
Yeah, God doesn't have anything to do with that.
So, that kind of has that ring to it that not even the king is above the law.
Yeah.
So, cool. Oh, and that guy's name is pronounced Pepe.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. You're great with chemicals and shit. I'm better with names. Pepe. uh,
All right, moving along. We've got a few religious groups that are trying to just stick their heads in the sand, basically. First off, we've got Mars Hill.
Oh, Mark.
Mark Driscoll and his church has been trying to get a video off of YouTube removed. Well, they did remove it. But it's been plastered everywhere else across the internet.
Yeah, just move a live leak to see it.
Yeah. A 6-minute bit from a sermon he gave about mistakes from the internet, where he basically where he straight up tells his members to love Jesus, read your Bible, stay off the internet. It's all shenanigans anyway.
Somebody that actually said shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't mean it as a joke.
Yeah.
This guy is a fucking joke anyways. I mean, his completely sexist views, the way he puts down people is just horrible. So, he's just plugging too many holes in this fucking dam and it's going to explode pretty soon. He's even talking shit about some of his own pastors in his satellite churches now.
Yeah.
It's not going good for Mark.
Oh,
which
no.
is good because Mars Hill is fucked up.
Yeah. But yeah, telling his members stay off the internet. Well, that's actually a smart thing for a church to do because you go on the internet and you can find out all the truth.
Yeah.
And finally, we have the LDS Church, aka the Mormons, releasing an official statement on the appropriate role of questions. To just summarize it, because I think it's pretty funny, is they think it's okay for people to ask questions. You can ask all the questions you want. And people can do all the studying and praying and learning they want to try to better understand God's truth. They just can't talk about it with anybody else or try to organize anything to try to change any church doctrine, because that all comes down directly from God via the prophet and apostles.
Yeah, what is it, 12 or 13 apostles on their little table council thing? Yeah. Well, who are you to question your God and his mouthpieces?
Basically, it's just question quietly.
Question, just don't hope for an answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rhetorical questions all fucking day. That's what you get.
Alrighty. And on that note, that's it for the news.
Fucking A.
So for those listening on the podcast, next you'll be hearing Evan Bernstein, and for those of you on YouTube, we interviewed him last week, and you can uh, go back and watch that.
Evan was such a sweetheart. That was fucking amazing. Thank you again, Evan.
Mm-hmm. And that's it.
Yep, 2450. 2455. Shit. 57. Yep. So yeah, we're hitting what, like about 75 minutes.
Yep.
All right, cool. I am stopping.
Me too. And I'll
Okay.
go ahead and stop the broadcast.
Okay. Thanks,
Our
guys.
2 to 3 viewers, thank you for watching.
Yay.